Hey, this is Steve Bloom, and you are listening to the Geekcast Radio Network.
Hey guys, Dan here. I just need to put a little preface on this episode before we get things underway. Unfortunately, the first half you will not hear Greg at all. We had a little recording snafu, and we don't have his side of the recording. We do have Chuck in mine, and I have edited it, so it should make sense. But if you want, you could ad-lib your own Greg remarks and put in your own spin on things. And with a good ad-lib, you need a good situation. So for this situation, let's just say you recently had a bowel movement, and that bowel movement was the color white. We're keeping it classy here on Geekcast Radio, and that will come into play a few times in the episode. But Greg does return for the second half as we get deep into Comic-Con and his trip there, as well as all the news that happened and what stories we were interested in. So anyways, I hope you enjoy episode 29 of Talking in Circles, the Comic-Con experience.
You are now on the inside of what I like to call the circle of trust.
We are all connected in the great circle of life.
You know something, Bert? What? I think you and I are going in circles.
It feels like we're going in circles.
The circle is now complete. When I left you, I was but the learner. Now I am the master.
Because it's a circle.
Yeah, we heard about the circle. Yes, we're familiar with shapes.
Hi, this is Chuck.
And this is Dan, and we are Talking in Circles, brought to you by the Geekcast Radio Network, the podcast that constantly hits pause during We Don't Stop the Music because we were born to be rebels. Today we are going deep into Comic-Con as Greg has recently returned from his trip to San Diego, and we'll be also going into some of the news and all that great stuff, and some of the leaked footage and all that, all that craziness that happens during cons. We'll get to plenty of Greg's exploits in Comic-Con shortly, but before we get to that, Chuck, you yourself were on vacation. How did that all go?
I went very well. I went to Wildwood, New Jersey for 4 days. Enjoyed the beach and the boardwalk and all that fun stuff. There was a ton of people there. Like, we went during the week, and I thought, okay, during the week it'll be a little less people, less crowded, There was still an assload of people there.
I'm guessing Greg, he came out with a white turd. I'm sure there were a lot of walking white turds.
Indeed.
Can you tan a turd? I guess that's a question I never thought I would ask when I woke up today. But
one never knows when that question will arise. Yeah, it was pretty crazy. Oddly enough, there was a lot of Canadian people there, and they were all speaking French and stuff. And I got excited because I remember a little bit of French from high school, and I was like, oh yeah, I know that word. I'm like, my teachers weren't lying. This does come in useful. I can tell if they're talking about me or not. Yeah, I was just going to say, I think it's funny how Greg and I were on complete opposite ends of the continent, like literally like almost as far apart as you can get. Like, he was on one beach and I was on another, so. But yeah, beach was fun. Didn't see any sharks or anything, but did see some dolphins, so that was cool. It was cool. We took like this dolphin tour on a speedboat, and this boat is gigantic. It's a 70-foot speedboat, and it has a 2,000 horsepower motor on it.
Nice.
And we were like,
so you killed a lot of dolphins.
Well, they took us to England and back. No, that boat was awesome though. We were flying out on the ocean. They took us out there, and then they kind of stop, and the dolphins come up to the boat next to you, and it was pretty cool. So that was neat. There was two that were getting quite frisky with each other, and the guy said that they're not fighting. So so yeah, that was a lot of fun seeing that in the. It's not like SeaWorld or an aquarium or something. They're in their natural habitat, so it was pretty cool. But other than the beach trip, I had another fun thing. I was at a very big event that took place over this past week. It was a gathering of comic book nerds and fans. It was a very big comic convention that's very well known, and that's of course the Scranton Comic-Con.
That's where Amelia Clark was.
Yes.
That would have been hilarious, though. You said Greg, like, no.
I think there were more people at the Scranton Con than San Diego. I'm not sure though.
They're about the same.
But and that is small. It's held at a local hotel, conference center. But I got some great deals, trades and hardcovers and stuff. I picked up some Exiles stuff and this Spider-Man book, Nothing Can Stop the Juggernaut. I'm pretty excited about that, and crossed a bunch of stuff off my list. So I was a happy camper coming out of there. I mean, this was mostly newer stuff, and like I said, trades and hardcovers and stuff. And I'm focusing on those a lot right now. So I was able to find a pretty good haul of stuff that I wanted. I mean, there was nobody that I was really too familiar with other than Tom Derenick, and I know, they had a book there that he did and he was signing and stuff, but I was kind of in a hurry. I had to go somewhere after that, so I was kind of like finding everything I could quickly, and I got out of there. But I know there were some other artists there. They usually have maybe 8 or 10. It's not a lot, but actually though, I will say we had Neil Adams once, so that was our heavy hitter. That was the biggest one we had.
Yeah. Anything else?
No, that was my exciting week. I know Greg and I, we're both at a con. Mine was better. But yeah,
Well, I didn't go to a con. I did go to a comic book shop though that was having a San Diego Comic-Con sale. So I guess that's all connected. Hopefully we'll talk about these maybe next week. But I picked up 2 books, and I'm trying to expand beyond just Marvel, and 2 actually Image books, East of West and Deadly Class. I've heard really good things about them. So, and they're not even superhero either. So, yeah. So it looks really good. The art's really cool, and East of West is kind of like a futuristic western and in like a dystopian future. Deadly Class I don't know much about, but they were talking it up big. So I'm like, they're only $10 too. So I was looking through it, and the art's pretty awesome. So I'll get more into that next week, hopefully. Just give you a little bit of a preview. So there you go. I do have one kind of quick funny story though. Recently we did a 5K here with myself, my wife, and 2 of our friends, and it was the electric run. I don't know if you at all are familiar with it, but it's by the same people who do the color run, and the gimmick of it, it's like a gimmick run. It's not like a serious 5K by any means, but it's done at night, and they light things up, and people wear crazy outfits and things that blink and craziness because it's done all at night on the streets of Baltimore. So, people are usually running on the streets of Baltimore at night. This is just more organized and not away from gunfire. So, but the way it's set up for these 5Ks, since it's not like a serious run, they kind of just shoot people off like 1,000 at a time in different chunks. And we were in the first wave to go. And the way it works is like, it's a run, and some people walk it too. So the beginning, it's super congested. It's like, probably like very, very much like San Diego Comic-Con. Probably but less body odor. But anyway, so it starts off, and like you're supposed to be running, but some people are walking, so it's kind of congested. It's hard to move. And I'm starting to try to run, and there's a guy in front of me, and we're kind of like, he's a little bit in front of me, I'm a little bit behind him. There's not much space in front of us. And then as I'm starting to pick up space because it's starting to get a little bit more open, a young girl, I'd say about 10 years old, like steps right in front of me as I'm like upping my speed, and I run smack right into her, like hardcore. And then she starts going down like nothing. And I realize, and I'm falling over too, and I'm trying to like, I'm realizing she's falling, and like knowing how many people are behind us, I'm gonna like, I don't want her to fall and get trampled. So I'm trying to not like stop her from falling. And I think that just freaked her out more. I'm like, this is a bad idea. So I stopped doing that, and I didn't want to fall on top of her. So I tried to jump over her, and I did, but I did kind of also land on her hand. So I felt really, really bad. It was really awful. I mean, I shouldn't have said, "Move, bitch, get out the way." I mean, that may have been taking it too far, but I felt it was appropriate in that time. But no, I just felt really bad because I hit her like hard. And then after it happened, the mom was actually yelling at her. She's like, "That's what I told you, not to go off and do your own thing." It was kind of...
Dan was like, "Yeah, bitch."
But no, she was okay. So all good fun. But
that's good.
During the 5K, I was running it, and it was like near the end, maybe a little more than halfway through, and some person's running, a young kid, I'd say like 8 or 9, is running with his mom, and all I hear him say, "Mom, this is not fun for me. I don't want to do this." It's like, he's just like, you can tell like he got dragged to it. He's like, "I just want to go home. This is not fun for me." I'm like, I just found that really hilarious. But it was a good time. I was happy I ran the whole thing, which is not much to 5K, so it's not like it's hard to run the whole thing. But it was crazy. It was a nice night for it too, because it wasn't too warm. It was a good temperature. So, but anyways, it's weird because after that, this week actually, this entire week, my wife's been away in Houston, Texas for work, and I've been home by myself, and I've also been working a lot. And I realized, like, I barely survive if I was by myself. I'm like, I've had, like, hot dogs for dinner, like, the entire week. Like, that's been my thing. Peanut butter and jelly and hot dogs. So it has not gone well. I went grocery shopping, and I'm like, I was just confused. Because I'm like, I have not just shopped for myself in such a long time. Like, it was like deer in headlights. It's like, I don't know which one to choose. Do I go with Fruit Loops or, Fruity Pebbles or the generic brand? It's like, how many types of Cheerios do you need? There's like 8 different types. But she comes back tomorrow, so that's exciting. And we're celebrating by going to see Guardians of the Galaxy. So
nice. That's a great way for her to celebrate.
She actually wants to see it, so that's why I'm actually happy. So, but besides that, I didn't really watch anything really of note. Well, I did see the movie Lucy, but I'm not really going to talk about it because I have a review on the site. And it was also on the In Session Film podcast that you could check out. So I'd advise checking that out. We talked about that in detail, and also Mismarketed Movies and a few other things. So that was a good time. So definitely check that out. But I did play some board games. We had a board game night with some friends, and I'm not like a tabletop enthusiast, which for one, that's the weirdest name for something ever. Am I the only one that finds that weird? Like tabletop enthusiast?
Sounds like something else, honestly.
I know, it's like, it sounds like a clever name for someone who really likes to go to strip clubs or something. I don't know. But anyways, we played a few games, and I do like playing board games. I mean, besides just like Monopoly and Risk and all that stuff. And the first one I played was Pandemic. It's interesting because you're not playing against each other. You're actually like playing with each other. And the idea is like there are 4 different diseases. There's a board that looks like it's shaped like the world. Well, not like the world. Like a map of the world, kind of like the Risk would be. And there are different cities and whatnot, and different diseases are put in different cities, and each of you are a different role. There's like a medic who can do different things. There's a dispatcher who can move people. I forget what the name of it was, but basically my guy was like more of a defensive person who could stop things from outbreaking in their areas. And it's a really fun game because it requires a lot of strategy. And I just like the idea of like the fact that you're kind of working with each other to try to figure out the game. It's really tough, but it's a lot of fun. And you kind of get really close to like, basically you have to try to wipe the 4 different diseases off the board. It gets harder and harder because you pull these like epidemic cards and it causes it to spread. And it becomes like this like never ending saga. So it's a lot of fun. And then you can decide because there are just different colors for the diseases. They don't tell you which one. So you get to pick which one. And, the black color was zombies. And I said bubonic plague. I also said disco fever was one. Probably the most deadly. I think that's the one we lost to was disco fever. There's no stopping it. We also played a game, Ticket to Ride, that's like, building your own train. My dad's a big train guy. My grandfather was a conductor for the Lackawanna Railroad. And that helped me not at all for this game. It's really just like matching colors, but there's some strategy to it because you basically get you get a card and you have to try to make a trail line from one destination to the next. And if you don't do it, you get points taken away. And the longer it is, the more points you get. So it's a lot of fun. I definitely check that out. It's kind of like you said, very casual. So it's kind of, just laid back, have a few beers. Like you can also be a really big jerk to people, like really easily. If you see like, oh, they're easily trying to make this train, I'm just gonna put my guy here and for no apparent reason just to be a jerk. But it feels like it's a game that doesn't really reward dickish play. You kind of have to be. It's but it's a lot of fun. So I wish I actually did that more often, because some of those games can be fun. I really want to play Catan. I have not played Catan yet, but one day. Yeah. The other thing I've been actually doing, the one guy I work with, he's really been getting into hero clicks, and I've bought a few, so I might try that out. But I just remember, we can talk about this maybe in one more detail one day, but I and you guys created this like card game back in the day, because it was our own creation, which we haven't played in a while, but it was fun. I think I still have it someplace. So
that was very cool.
But anyways, that's pretty much it for me. Chuck, with your whole vacation, have you been up to anything else?
Yeah, after I got back, I was able to. I had couple of days off to work after I got back, so it was nice not having to go back to work immediately upon returning, which always sucks. So I had a few days off, and I was able to go see a movie in the theater. And it's something that's been out for a while now, and that's 22 Jump Street.
Nice.
Did you guys get to see that at all?
I did see it.
It's a sequel, of course, to 21 Jump Street, and they're going to college for their next undercover operation, finding drug dealers and whatnot. I know most people have probably already seen this since it's been out 7 weeks or something crazy like that, but better late than never, I guess. I did enjoy it. I thought it was funny. Wasn't like my favorite comedy ever, but it was definitely entertaining. I think the first one was a little bit better, the one where they were in high school.
Yeah, I agree.
This one, I felt like a lot of Jonah Hill's lines and jokes were, toward the end, they were getting a little bit too overused and maybe a little bit even predictable. And I think maybe that's the fault of the script, not necessarily his acting or anything, but just the situations he was in and the lines that would come after it. It was kind of like you could almost kind of expect what he was going to say and expect what was going to happen. I think, for me anyway, Channing Tatum's character was a lot more entertaining in this particular movie. Like, the situations he was in were funnier, the things he was doing in his lines and everything. But one thing I did want to note was that I saw some ability here with Channing Tatum, that he might actually do a decent job as Gambit, which he's confirmed to play in the next X-Men movie.
Yeah, he's a pretty solid sense of humor. Like, he really is a funny guy, which you wouldn't maybe anticipate, but he's got good comic timing. And I agree, his character was a little bit better. I think the bad thing, not the bad thing, but the issue with 22 Jump Street was, it was too blatant with the joke sometimes. The whole we're being a sequel joke, it's got a little bit ridiculous, and the fact that everyone was in it, like you said, they got obvious by near the end. You kind of, all right, you could see it. Here comes this joke, and it just kind of got a little bit repetitive.
Yeah.
But I still thought it was a good time. I think the first one had more to it, and I think the transition of having Jonah Hill be the cool kid and Channing Tatum hanging out with the dorks, I thought that was a lot more interesting than in this one, where it's just Channing Tatum having a bromance with some football player, which, I mean, it was interesting, but it wasn't as creative as the last one.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly how I felt pretty much. I mean, it was entertaining, but I think, honestly, my favorite part of the movie was the end credits.
Yeah, those are pretty...
I think a lot of people would agree with that. But it's basically... I mean, I hope I'm not giving too much away for anyone that wants to see it. Maybe skip ahead a minute or two, but basically through the end credits, while the credits are rolling, they start promoting all the possible sequels to the movie. So they do 23 Jump Street and his medical school, and they show him dressed up, and then they do 24 Jump Street, and it's law school or something like that, and they keep going with the numbers until they get to 40. It's 40 Jump Street or something like that. And they had some crazy things in there, like veterinarian school and magic school and stuff like that.
Clown College, I think, was one. It was...
Yeah, Clown College. I was cracking up. That was the funniest part of the movie, honestly. And it was great to see them kind of mocking Hollywood, with the way of making a ludicrous amount of sequels to something with increasingly crazy plot lines and all this stuff. And they even made fun of how the actors change in sequels, because the one they kind of bring Seth Rogen in place of Jonah Hill, And Channing Tatum's like, "You look different, Schmidt." And Rogen's like, "Nope, it's definitely me, good old Schmidt," you know? And then, like, with the next sequel, Jonah Hill's back. So I did love that. Like, I thought that was really well done, the way they did that. And then they'd go into showing, like, they get their own video game and, like, a line of toys. They get action figures and all this stuff. And then, if you remember at the end of the first movie, they shot the guy's dick off. They have a kid's game called Shoot the Dick. It's just this, there's like kids with these dart guns and they have to shoot all these mechanical members. It's just so ridiculous, but I thought that was the best part of the movie.
Yeah, that was a unexpected surprise for sure.
Yeah, and like you said, Dan, it's a very self-aware movie, and it makes it fun. Definitely through the first half or the first 3/4 of the movie, but then, you know, kind of by the end, you're like, okay, you know, I could see these jokes coming a mile away, you know what I mean? But it was a lot of fun, and a lot of fun to, you know, kind of make fun of those cliche things in Hollywood, and definitely keeps you entertained and everything. So if you haven't seen it and you like the first one, definitely check it out. I would say, Dan, if people didn't like the first one, you're probably not going to like this one, because it's a lot of the same type of humor and stuff like that.
Yeah. There's also a great moment where, without giving anything away, Channing Tatum and Jonah Hill are in an office with Ice Cube, and a certain realization happens, and then you see Channing Tatum react to a certain news situation that occurs, and that is pretty. Yeah. Just how crazy it gets. It's pretty funny. I don't want to say it because it'll ruin it, but it's a good moment, and you'll know it when you see it.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else before we take a break and come back and talk about the San Diego Comic-Con?
No, that's about all I've been up to.
All right. We're going to take a little bit of a break here, and when we come back, we'll getting into the nitty-gritty of San Diego Comic-Con and Scranton Comic-Con 2014. We'll see you in a bit.
I'm Colin Baker.
My name's Fraser Hines.
Hi, I'm Daphne Ashbrook.
This is Andrew Cartmel.
Hi, this is Colin Spall.
Hello, I'm Simon Fisher-Becker.
This is Ian McNeice.
Hi, this is Travis Ritchie.
You listen to this Mark 42's.
Listen to Mark 42's Universe.
If you're into Doctor Who, listen to Mark 42's Universe. We always have the latest Doctor Who news, reviews, and interviews. We are available on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, Geekcast Radio Network, and our home base, markwho42.net.
Mark Who 42, the meaning of life.
Every week on the In Session Film Podcast, you can expect to hear reviews on all of the latest movies, big films, small films, and everything in between. We'll also do top 3 segments relating back to our main review. We discuss all of the latest movie news and rumblings, as well as have movie series and other fun segments, and we always talk about the films that we're watching and why you should watch them or not watch them as well. If you want to learn more about the In Session Film Podcast, check us out online at InSessionFilm.com. You can hear our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, TuneIn Radio, and so much more. In fact, you can listen to everything we have straight from our website. Again, that is InSessionFilm.com. Download our podcast, check us out, and come join us every week. We'd love to hear from you.
All right, and welcome back. And like I said, we're going to get into some of the San Diego Comic-Con news. But before we get to that, Greg, why don't you tell us about, your time there and what you did besides getting drunk and eating and shitting white turds? So
no, that actually, the white turd happened today. That didn't happen during the Comic-Con.
Okay.
I barely shit when I'm on vacation or anything, and that's another reason why my stomach gets so screwed up. But anyway, I didn't go for Wednesday for the preview night. Those were unfortunately sold out when I got tickets. I did have the opportunity to take the 4-day passes, but I was going with my boss, and he did not have the time to do all 4 days. So we flew down Thursday, so we arrived at about 11 o'clock in the morning, and we stopped off this burger joint. And if you watch Triple D on the Food Network, it's been on there a couple times. It's called Hodad's. They have really awesome hamburgers, fries, and milkshakes. They've got a lot of beers there too. I get the bacon cheeseburger, and it's called a single, but it works like Five Guys, where it's single is actually a double. So I got a single one of those, and I had fries and the milkshake, and the milkshake is just fucking exceptional. You get one of those steel cups that they do the milkshakes in, and on the side they put this whole huge hunk of ice cream on the side there. So you kind of have to work your way around and eat that off the sides a little bit so it doesn't come streaming down the side of the cup. So we had lunch there. Then for the rest of the day, we just went to breweries, which it was hard to drink because I was so full from lunch. I seriously couldn't get much beer down. I tried my hardest. The one dude over there said, at one of the breweries, said that Yingling Lager sucks.
Really?
Yeah. He goes, he's like, that's a terrible choice. I'm like, whatever.
Those fighting words.
Kind of. And so essentially we went back to the hotel and just freaking passed out. We were both exhausted. Then Saturday we got up really early and we had to go get the tickets, which trying to find the end of the line for the tickets for our first day on Friday was, you had to go all the way down to Hall A to get our tickets, and that like roped around all over the place. So it was really hard to find the end of the line. I thought I was taking the shortcut, but my boss beat me by like at least 100 feet in this line. And so we went up, got our tickets. Some Asian kid started talking to me in line, wouldn't leave me the hell alone. I don't think he has many friends. It
was San Diego Comic-Con. That is kind of the norm.
Oh God, he would not leave me alone. Even after like we got up to the spot where you get tickets, and they had tons of people there ready to register your tickets. So the line actually moved pretty damn quick. But like we had to split up to get tickets, me and this Asian guy, which I kind of dove away without him noticing to get my tickets, to get away from him. But then as soon as I was walking away and like got towards the end of line of the ticket people, like he was standing there waiting for me. I was like, fuck. And then finally we had to go over and get like another plastic sheath for our Saturday badges, and he was there with me in line for that as well. And then getting the bags and the little booklets and everything, he was right there with me, my little Asian friend. His name was John, I believe. And then like we went into a little area. I'm like, okay, see you later, John. I'm freaking booked away from him and got my shit all together so I could walk in. And I got down there and I didn't run because there's always people freaking sprinting as soon as they get in there. And you always consistently get people yelling, no running, no running. So I walked to my destination. First day was to get exclusives. So I got all the exclusives, thankfully. It wasn't that hard, actually, because for the first, I'd say about half an hour, it's actually pretty light inside the Comic-Con. I had a great time at the beginning of my day there. It wasn't as hectic. People were very nice straight off the bat.
When you say exclusive, what type of exclusives?
Like the stuff where you could only get it at San Diego Comic-Con. They're doing like exclusive comic book covers. My first stop off was the Dark Horse booth, and they had exclusive Hellboy hardcover.
Nice.
So Hellboy in Hell. They also had a hardcover Itty Bitty Hellboy that I got. They had a stuffed Itty Bitty Hellboy. I picked that up as well because I'm a big Hellboy fan. And I got a Star Wars exclusive comic book from that shop. I feel like there was one more thing that I got there, and it's not really coming to mind. But they also had Game of Thrones dragons, which I didn't want to go too crazy getting things. Like I could have got, like I walked right up to that booth, which was incredible. And you essentially could have walked up to the Dark Horse booth at any time to get stuff. I never really saw them have a line the entire time I was there. So it was very easy to get stuff from the Dark Horse booth. And the girl there was completely nice. Oh, what would you like and everything? And it wasn't a real big struggle to get stuff. So that was my first stop. And by the way, I had a huge map of like with little markers on it and everything that I made up in Photoshop, and like a list of what I wanted from each place. And that was very helpful going through and doing this.
It's like Raiders of the Lost Ark, but for
for geeks, yeah.
Yeah.
And then the second stop, I went to, what booth was it? Sorry. I think it was the graffiti design booth. And they had a whole bunch of comic books that I wanted that were exclusive. I think it was Batman number 32, Grayson number 1, and there was a Harley Quinn book with a variant cover that was exclusive, and blank artist can draw on cover there. So I picked up all of those. And then I went over to a publisher's table, and I picked up Century, the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen hardcover exclusive for San Diego. I picked that up, and that also came. They said it was signed and numbered, but the book itself wasn't signed and numbered. They just had a card, like a little postcard thing that was embossed.
That sounds a little
right. Like, it should be the actual book that's numbered and signed and whatnot, but they just gave you this card that they put inside.
It's like when they say signatured, but you can clearly tell it's a stamp. It's like, that's not,
Yeah, but the place cards were signed. And while I was there was just some random dude hanging out. And he's like, it was like he was almost working for the booth, but he wasn't inside the booth area, so he wasn't an actual worker there.
He just really wanted to be, so he was just hanging out.
Yeah. And he's like, if you come back in like an hour, Kevin O'Neill's going to be here, who's the, he's the artist on League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. So I was like, all right, okay. And he was very helpful. He was very kind. So I walked off and went to the fourth booth where I got, what was the fourth booth? I got one of those pop vinyl toys. You know what I'm talking about? With the giant head and the round black eyes and everything.
Yeah.
There are huge places with a whole bunch of displays of those. There were like at least 4 or 5 places selling a whole bunch of those, but they had an exclusive Stay Puft Marshmallow Man one.
Nice.
He's kind of, where he gets enraged and there's fire coming up him and he's like, ah.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm a big like that.
Yeah, I'm a big Stay Puft Marshmallow Man fan and a Ghostbusters fan. So I picked up one of those, much bigger than I expected it to be. I expected it to be the normal size of those, but it's about 2 or 3 times bigger. And this one glows in the dark. You had a choice between a regular one and this one glows in the dark. It doesn't glow in the dark too much. You really need to be pitch black, and it barely glows in the dark.
Question: this is not like the white turd at all. These are not related, right?
No. He's actually a pinkish colored, so he's kind of like enraged.
The turd doesn't glow in the dark.
No, the turd does not glow in the dark. I didn't check it out. It may have glowed in the dark. I didn't turn off the lights though when I was in the bathroom. It very well may have. And then my last booth to stop off at was. It was just a really random booth that was some kind of company, but they didn't display any signs really well. And I got a Stan Lee San Diego Comic-Con exclusive vinyl pop guy, and he was about normal vinyl pop size, and I picked him up. And so I was kind of happy with myself that I got all that and everything. And so I booked it back over to the Kevin O'Neill table, where he was the publisher's table where he was signing. And by the time I came back, that dude had formed up a line behind him. There was
he's like a Venus flytrap of people, I guess.
Yeah. And so he only had like 2 people behind him. So I lined up. So I was about 4th. And we all kind of were there, and there's this old lady that was talking to everybody, and she had a cast that she apparently got signed. I think she got it signed by Kevin Eastman and had a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle drawn on there.
Nice.
I'm pretty sure. She's like, I don't know, some guy just drew it on me. I was like, okay. She's like, I'm going to save the cast, though. I'm like, okay, that sounds good. And then I talked to one of the guys in the booth, and he was like, "Oh yeah, Kevin was here yesterday," and he's like, "I have yet to meet him. I really want to meet him today." He's like, "All I did was stare at the back of his head for hours on end." I'm like, "That's not creepy at all." But finally, I got up to the front of the line, and I got to meet Kevin, and he was very nice. I'm not sure if he's from Britain or Australia, but he's got an awesome accent going on. And not only did he sign the book, but he also drew in the book as well a really quick sketch that was really awesome. I thanked him for that and shook his hand. But I shook the hand where he had the pen in it. But that was the one he was giving me, and I knocked the pen, and it went flying out onto the exhibition floor. So
and people just went diving for it?
No. I very easily picked it up for him and returned it to him.
Ran away? Like,
it's mine! No, I didn't do that. But so I got a cool sketch in the front of the book from him, and I brought some of my own comics to see if I could get signed by different artists, but I didn't get that to happen, unfortunately. And after I got all the exclusives and stuff, I was kind of happy with doing that because I didn't think I was going to get that far. And it was kind of early in the day, and I figured I was still on East Coast time for the most part. So I was like, you know what, I'm just going to have lunch now because I'm hungry for lunch. This is about normal time I'd have lunch. And it was like super early. It was like maybe like 10:30 or something. So I didn't spend much time in the exhibition hall for the first part of the day. And so I went off and I went to the old spaghetti warehouse, which had no line waiting for it. So I just went right in, got myself a table. I had fettuccine Alfredo with some chicken and broccoli in it. It was fucking delicious. Had some beers. The guy that I had was waiter was like nice as could be. This is like the first time that I've ever gone out to eat by myself because my boss and I split up when we go to the con. And so I had some food, and it was weird because at the end of the dinner, I got up and I left the guy money and everything. And he actually like shook my hand. He's like, "Oh, it's good to meet you. What's your name?" and everything. And he kind of talked to me for a little bit. So the service at the old spaghetti warehouse was freaking excellent. The dude's name was Matt. So if you ever go to the old spaghetti warehouse in the Gas Lamp district of San Diego, ask for Matt. Really cool guy. Kind of had a little bit of a man crush. Good looking guy.
Oh, I thought you meant like he had one on you, but I see.
No, he was a good looking guy. And very, very nice to me the entire time.
You have to be good looking to live in San Diego, and if you don't, they make you move.
Well, there was some lady that was singing to herself who was kind of scary when we went to Odette's. So I wouldn't agree with that statement at all, Dan.
I mean, sure, there's a few stragglers here and there. So
yeah, they couldn't get her out. She was tough to move. She's the juggernaut of San Diego.
They haven't been deported yet.
Yeah. But I went back to the con after that, and for the most part, I just kind of walked around and kind of experienced things and was checking out where things were going and stuff. And so I kind of just spent the rest of my day casual since I kind of got everything I wanted. And I did go over to Artist Alley, but it was kind of hard to get to the artist at that point. I did pick up Frank Cho art book. She signed, which is really awesome. And Fiona Staples, I brought my 3 Saga graphic novels that I tried to get signed, but she wasn't at the table. There was probably a signing for her at some scheduled time at some place. It's tough with the lines to try and figure out. But that was essentially my first day. And after that, my boss and I went out to this brewery, Green Flash Brewery. Really cool place. It was like a little garage that you hung out, and they had a bar in there and everything, and people were hanging out. And then you could walk through the door, and there was a little area set up outside where you were kind of penned in, so you could enjoy the outdoors and have a drink. And then parked next to that so they could serve you right over the fence for it. They had a local food truck, and so I had some food there, drank a lot of beer. I did hit on one of the bartenders. Yes, it was a girl bartender. I just got You're So Cute back, and that was it, and I left.
It could be worse.
Yeah. But for the second day, I was trying to focus on going to panels, and I ended up only going to one since I had to go to dinner and everything, which kind of messed up my plans. I was going to go to the Batman 75th anniversary one, but that was I've only been in there for like maybe 10 minutes before I had to go get on the bus so I could meet up with everybody for dinner. And I also, I didn't have time to get to the 8 o'clock DC, CW, WB, Arrow, Constantine, and The Flash. I didn't have a chance to get back for that, but people line up super early for those 8 o'clock Hall H shows. So with that whole dinner thing, I would have never been able to make it back in time, but that's fine. I got into at least one panel this year, and it was the Saga panel, and it was really great. It had Brian K. Vaughan and Fiona Staples. They just have the greatest like little back and forth kind of working relationship going. They didn't kind of reveal a lot. They did talk about merchandising, and they didn't want to. They really didn't want to sell out too much. They want to keep their piece humble. They don't really want to go to movies or TV unless it's like the right thing, where they're both good with the story and everything that's going on. So they want their hands in on it, so they come out with a high quality product. And there's not a lot of merchandise for Saga, and they said they want to keep it to like little runs of they apparently came out with which I wish I knew about this because I'd love one. They have a lying cat t-shirt. It says character from the book. It's this giant cat who will say lying when another character is lying. And so they have a neat shirt with the head and a little balloon that says lying on it, which I would love to get. So they said they're going to keep their runs of merchandise and stuff like that down to like short little small runs for the fans and everything. They're not going to go anything too big. Many people shouted out that they wanted a stuffed animal lying cat figure. They didn't reveal too much, like I said, about the future of the book. They kind of just discussed their working relationship and their different ideas of how they did different things and came up with different characters and whatnot. How it was kind of Brian's idea to begin with, and then influences of Fiona came in, and he was just very accepting of it all. And they seriously just kind of blended their two worlds. So that was the panel I went to. That was in the afternoon. In the morning, I made my biggest purchase of the con. I purchased a piece of art by Terry Dodson. It was an X-Men cover, and I bought it, and I should know the number of the comic, but I do not. But it's the one with the new Lady Deathstrike on the cover, who was an heiress who buys, apparently, the essence or the soul of Lady Deathstrike, or the computer brain structure of Lady Deathstrike to get recorded onto hers. So it's more of a Mexican de los Muertes Lady Deathstrike, where she's kind of got like the white face with black skull eyes and these like skeletal teeth lip design and some black and golds, and it's a really awesome cover. Maybe I'll try and find a link to a picture of it for you guys. And had an awesome discussion with Terry Dodson and about careers and stuff, and about he asked a lot of questions about me. It wasn't like I couldn't even really get in a question to him about his stuff, because he was asking me questions about my life and everything. So that was a neat little interaction. And I forgot the day before I did buy a piece of artwork from that day as well. I bought an interior page from X-Men issue number 2, page 14. It's this latest volume that cover was also from. It was by Oliver Copiel, It is a really cool cover. It's got a nice shot of Rogue. The X Mansion, or the school, is under attack. And the last panel is like 2 minutes left on a timer for a bomb. So I thought that was a really cool piece. Chuck, unfortunately, I couldn't get your toys because freaking the line for Hasbro was fucking ridiculous. Like you had to go up to a different part of the convention center and wait in a line up there to get a chance to get a ticket that maybe you could get in line downstairs to go and get the item from Hasbro.
Wow. Yeah, that's why I think I mentioned to you before you went, don't even worry about it, because I knew it was going to be crazy there.
Well, I looked and like, oh, the line for Hasbro is not that bad at all. I can get right in. So I picked up one of the things and I was looking to see maybe I wanted something else from Hasbro while I was there. And then I went to the back of the line. I'm like, can I get in? And they're like, well, first, there's a drawing at 6 o'clock, and you have to get it's 6 o'clock, and there's another one at this time. But that one's going in like 5 minutes, and they're already lined up for that one. So you could try for the one at 6, and then once you have to do a ticket drawing, and if you get the right ticket, then I was like,
Jesus.
I was like, sorry, Chuck, no.
That's why I told you, don't even worry about it, because people go crazy over, like, especially the Marvel Legends, which was what I collect and what I'm interested in, but people go crazy over those things. And
I was also kind of running out of room for stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Bags were completely stuffed, and I was carrying around the 2 pieces of artwork I had. I had one of those plastic sleeves for them. It was a giant plastic sleeve to put them in. I was carrying it around, which going through airport security and just walking around with it in public is kind of fun because did you draw that? No, I wish I could draw like this, but no.
Nice. Believe it or not, Greg, I already got that figure that I wanted out of there.
Oh, really? Would you get it off eBay or something?
Yeah, and for people listening, what I'm talking about is the show exclusive Thanos Imperative box set for the Marvel Legends. There's 5 characters in it. It was Black Bolt, Medusa, the comic version of Star-Lord, Blastar, and Gladiator. And Gladiator was the only figure that I wanted out of there. I've been dying for years for them to make one of those figures. So I was able to find it on eBay, and the guy said he was going to ship it right from the con. And it literally got here in like 2 days. So
nice.
Worked out. It was pretty cool.
It'd be kind of funny if like Greg went through all that and he's like, Chuck, you'll never believe it. I got you that figure. He'd be like,
then I would just sell them on eBay or something, because they were actually getting up there in price. I think. What if you don't mind me asking, how much did you spend, Chuck?
Mine was about $50.
Yeah, they were getting up there. They had like some drawing for this Lego figure, and they had a Lego stand outside the convention that was like hidden somewhere, and if you drew and got this certain Lego figure, so it's like this not even an inch tall little plastic yellow guy figure, was like selling for like $300 on eBay or something. Yeah,
I know like the box set, the Thanos Imperative box set at the con was only $100.
Yeah,
which is a great deal. That's only like $20 a figure, but people selling it afterwards, like, it's marked up to like 180, 200, something like that. And even the individual figures, like I remember from last year, there was a Thunderbolts box set, and I kind of wanted this Luke Cage figure. And even like a year later, that thing's still going for $45 on eBay.
Yeah.
So they kind of hold their value. And I really wanted this Gladiator. I'm like, screw it, I'll just get it, because I'm going to wait all that time. Like, I'll wait a year or two, and it's still going to be the same price. Like, what the hell's the difference?
So, is that only going to be sold at Comic-Con? They're not going to release it, like, wide at all?
No, I don't believe so.
It's just an exclusive for the con. That's the only way you can get it. So.
Yeah. And an interesting story to go along with that, Chuck. I was waiting in line. I think it was the Friday, so it was the first day that I was there. Waiting in line for the bus to go to the con, and there were these 2 people talking about they went the previous day, and apparently they can't really afford to go to San Diego Comic-Con and do this. So what they do is they'll buy all the tickets and stuff, and then when they go, they get all the exclusives they can and then sell them on eBay to fund their trip, and they try and get all their stuff done on the first day so they can do all the stuff they want on the second day, and so their trip is paid for and everything.
Oh, nice.
Just getting exclusives and stuff. I thought that was kind of interesting a way to do it. I don't know if I would want to do it that way or not. It seems like a giant hassle, especially since the fact that I can afford to go on it. But I definitely wanted to collect things. Oh, also something else I got, that Hellboy in Hell hardcover. I got it signed by Mike Mignola. I just happened to get in line at the proper time and everything. I got that signed. I did not
just having to cut in line at the right time.
Some guy did. Some guy just kind of walked up and he didn't get noticed, and he kind of went into the split at like the proper time, and nobody said anything to him.
Your Asian buddy John was at the front of the line, and he just let you in.
No, I'd be happy with him for about 2 seconds and then try and ditch him about 5 minutes later. But no, I got that signed, and they had like a little free kind of booklet up there, so I got that signed also. Unfortunately, I did not have the Itty Bitty Hellboy book or the Itty Bitty Hellboy, because I would have got those signed by him too. I did talk to him for a pretty great deal of time. I was trying to like sneak out on him because I was like, I don't want to waste all your time. You've got a huge line. But I told him, I'm like, he looked much happier this time around as opposed to the first one that I went to about 2 years ago. I'm like, you look much happier. He's like, well, it's tough. And he went off into this whole thing. It's tough to be smiling all the time when he's like, this is like the only time that I get to spend out. He's like, usually I'm like quarantined at home. He's like, people usually go pick up my groceries and stuff, and I don't get time to go out and do this other kind of stuff. And like, he was going off on a tangent. So it's kind of interesting to have a nice little conversation with him. But I was feeling bad. I'm like, there's a whole bunch of people. He's he's important in the comic book world. I don't want to waste his time. So I kind of was like, okay, well, thank you, and kind of cut him off a little bit.
That's funny.
And the last story I have, it doesn't have to do with the Comic-Con, except trying to get home from it. Airport sucked. I got on the plane to leave and everything, and there was some different weather patterns coming through, and apparently to avoid those, the pilot had to go like north and south. So we had to stop off at Fort Worth, Texas, to fill up more gas to get to North Carolina. So we were delayed for about 2 or 3 hours in Texas. And so with being delayed there, we didn't make our flight when we got to North Carolina. By the way, does it seriously take 1 hour to get paperwork done? Airplane people, like 1 hour to do paperwork. Like, what the hell? Like, for a guy to sign the page for some gas, for some jet fuel. But we finally get into North Carolina, and it was a bit rainy there and stormy there, but we were able to get down. But then they cleared off the runways of all their personnel, and then one of the machines that they used to help escort the plane to the gate apparently got flooded. So we were sitting on that runway for about an hour. So we definitely missed our flight. And they gave us tickets. My boss called up one of our coworkers who very kindly arranged our flight home, which had to be the and they gave us a free hotel. Well, it's more of a motel room at a Days Inn that was very creepy. Under construction in the middle of the night. They were working on a couple rooms down from us. And also, we only had breakfast that day since we were stuck on the airplane. And then once we got to the motel room, there were no food places open at all. So we had a vending machine dinner.
Nice.
At like 12:15 at night. I had a bag of Doritos, some peanuts in memory of the flight.
Memory of the flight.
Water and some Cheez-Its.
Nice.
Yeah. So that was about the worst part of my whole trip. But it did give me my Monday sort of off, since I had to travel from North Carolina to Avoca Airport in Scranton Wilkes-Barre.
Well, I guess now we can get to all the celebrities at Scranton Comic-Con. But no,
I did see a celebrity, by the way.
What was that?
I did see a celebrity.
What did you see?
I was waiting for the Saga line to start up for the panel, and they had the panel before was kind of like mechanics or technology and science fiction and stuff like that. And out walked Brent Spinner from Star Trek Next Generation, who played Data.
Nice.
And got a distance shot of him just hanging out in the hallway talking to people. Nobody really bugged him that much. There was just like a couple, 2-3 people around him, and they were kind of having a group discussion. I don't think it was a fan. I think it was just somebody that he knew, and they were there talking. So I have a distant shot of him hanging out.
All right. So while you were doing all of that, news is dropping all over the place. So I think we can maybe talk about some of the news stories that we found interesting. I know, Greg, you maybe not have had a time to even look at them because you were, at the con. So, but Chuck, were there any news stories about Scranton not Scranton Comic-Con, but of San Diego Comic-Con that interest you at all?
Yeah, mostly the Avengers Age of Ultron, I guess, teaser clip that they showed. I wasn't able to, find it online or anything, but they gave a good description, I guess, of a scene of the Avengers sitting around trying to lift Thor's hammer. So that seemed entertaining, and I was dying to actually see it. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to, so I hope they release that at some point soon. But and then also the for that movie, I guess they kind of announced that the Vision, who's in that movie, will in fact have his density changing powers from the comics, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of cool things you can do with that, so I'm really looking forward to that. I can't believe that they're having the Vision, and Paul Bettany, the guy who's going to do it, that's like the perfect casting choice. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and then for the actual character of Ultron, it's being voiced by James Spader. I was able to find an audio clip that someone put online. There was no video attached to it, but there was some audio of James Spader speaking as Ultron in this clip, and his voice sounds awesome. And they put just a twinge of a robotic element to it, but not a lot at all. It's pretty much 90% his voice, but it sounds really, really cool. I think they made a really good choice making him the voice of Ultron.
Nice. Speaking of Age of Ultron, did you guys see the image of the broken Captain America shield at all?
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of interesting. I wonder how they're gonna, if that's just a teaser thing that doesn't really happen, because they tend to do that a lot. They'll have, they showed the Infinity Gauntlet when the first the first Thor was happening, and that was only a teaser image. But I could see that happening because Ultron, you could see him being able to break it. So that's kind of cool.
At the con, they also had that I saw from a distance, not Avengers related, but Ant-Man. They had a costume on stage that was, I think it was probably up where Captain America's shield was on the stage, and that's really tough to get to because people are kind of packed out and camped out in front of the Marvel booth area, and that looked pretty sweet. It was kind of a full silver face mask kind of thing that I believe looked similar to the Edgar Wright costume in that short little clip that he came up with that everybody talked about. Also saw Haley Atwell there.
Nice.
From a distance yet again.
Speaking of Ant-Man, did you all see that they've announced, which I'm surprised no one's really talking about. I guess maybe there's, with Batman and whatnot footage, it's getting kind of overshadowed, but they did announce that Yellow Jacket's going to be the villain of that movie.
Yeah, I did hear that. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Now, is it going to be Hank Pym as a Yellow Jacket, or
no? I forget the guy who's playing it, because he may have dropped out by the time this podcast goes out, because people are dropping from that movie like flies.
Yeah,
nice pun, Dan. Dropping like flies. I like it.
No, I forget who it is, but I do know Evangeline Lilly will be playing Hank Pym's daughter. So.
Yeah, right?
Sorry, you lost me. Yeah.
But yeah,
She's,
so I did see
dreamy.
that. But I guess on the other side of the fold, I felt, Marvel had some news, but I think DC, at least for I don't want to say buzz, but like the big news stories, I felt kind of went to them, maybe because there's more unanswered questions. And then the first big thing was the Wonder Woman costume. Did you guys get to take a look at what that's going to be looking like?
I did see that, yes.
Yeah, that looks very cool.
Yeah, people are very upset with, I think, the coloring of it, but I think it kind of falls in with a little bit more traditional Greek outfit that kind of looks more realistic than Wonder Woman's actual costume. Plus, I think the lady, I forget her name, who is playing Wonder Woman, is freaking gorgeous. So
Gal Gadot,
yeah, she could freaking wear anything, and I'd be loving it. So
yeah, I mean, I do wish there was a little bit more color. Like I do also realize it's hard to say within that image, because you don't know the context of that shot. It may look more colorful within.
Plus DC goes dark, kind of monotone with their characters, where Marvel's a little bit brighter, and
which is kind of an issue. I wasn't the biggest fan of the look of Man of Steel. I thought it was a little bit too monotone, and I mean, I thought like the brightness of Superman's cape was pretty cool, but I was hoping they would have maybe a little bit touch of a brightness with her costume. But it's only one image, so it's hard to really tell. So it might be a lot different. But I thought overall, though, she does look like a good Wonder Woman, and does seem like they are going for a more realistic approach. And I know a lot of people are saying it looks like Xena, Warrior Princess. And yeah, it does. But I think it's a little bit more. There's a little bit more style there, I think.
Yeah, it's better than that freaking other one where they were trying to go with the TV show where she looked like a Halloween stripper.
Exactly. If they could like combine those and find like a middle ground, I think it'd be perfect. So
yeah, definitely. Like you said, it could use a little bit more color, but that could be what they're starting out as, And
exactly.
I like how they gave her the sword. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I didn't see the lasso of truth on her.
She does still have the lasso. It's kind of on her hip.
Okay, I didn't see it.
On the same side where she's holding the sword.
Okay.
You can see it there on her hip. So, people won't be getting ticked off about that. She's still got the lasso and everything.
I was kind of distracted by other elements in the photo.
I'm
not sure if you guys know me or not, but I was distracted.
Greg's like, it wasn't in color? I don't know.
We also didn't get to see the invisible jet, or maybe we did. We just don't know. So. But yeah, and then technically this footage wasn't released, but I think everyone pretty much saw it, and that was the Batman, Superman footage of, Batman with the bat symbol and Superman showing up. For those that didn't see it, there's a Batman very much looking like the Dark Knight Returns Batman with his like armor suit on, next to the bat signal, the bat sign, and then then Superman decides to show up, and they kind of have a stare down and whatnot. But very quick clip, but I think it gives you just kind of a cool image and whatnot. What did you guys think of that clip?
I didn't see it. Sorry.
How dare you be at Comic-Con and not see that? You didn't want to spend 4 days in line to see 30 seconds of a movie that's coming out in 2 years?
Yeah, instead of doing like a billion other things that I have done.
I know.
Spend all my time waiting for that panel.
You'd still be in line even though it's over. It's like, it's weird. But Chuck, did you get to see it?
Yeah, I liked it. I was able to see it before it was taken down on YouTube. I like like you mentioned, Batman's wearing like his kind of mechanical suit, and you can kind of tell because his eyes are glowing blue. So you can tell he's got some, circuitry and stuff going on in his cowl, and he's got the glowing blue eyes. And I love the contrast when they pan over and show Superman, and he's got the glowing red eyes, like he's about to use his heat vision or something. But I like the contrast there, and when they start the beginning of the clip with Batman on the rooftop, you can kind of see how he's like suspicious of something, but he stays cool about it. He's not startled, and he just flips on the light for the bat signal. And there was a lot of like nuances in that little clip. Like, even though it was like a short thing where like nothing really happened seemingly, there was a lot of little nuances in it that were pretty cool.
Yeah. I do think it's kind of funny because I feel like all people have done was complain about this movie, and then like that clip comes out, and then it's like nothing but love. It's
exactly.
It's just, I mean, people are complaining about the suit for Wonder Woman and whatnot, but it's just all that, and I just think it's kind of funny. It's like,
And when it finally comes out and they see it, it's gonna be all that in a bag of Fritos.
Yeah, or Cheez-Its, like for Greg.
Those were delicious Cheez-Its.
Yeah, food is always delicious when you're just starving and you haven't eaten all day. It's like, this is...
My stomach was so messed up from that.
Yeah, I mean, getting food from a vending machine for dinner could do that to you.
Yeah, I was tortured.
Well, Dan, you mentioned that DC was kind of stealing the show. They did as some other stuff with my favorite TV show, which I don't know if you guys know what my favorate show is. Do you know?
Is it The Flash?
It may be after this fall.
I'm guessing maybe the Arrow. Is it Arrow?
It's close. It's actually Arrow.
Okay.
They had some Arrow news. Nothing really too earth shattering, but they kind of announced that Ra's al Ghul is the main villain for this season, which if you've been watching along, we kind of knew that could possibly come because they were kind of name dropping him in some other episodes, and he was kind of hiding in the shadows in the League of Shadows. But so that's pretty cool. I'm looking forward to that, and then like I found it weird though that they have Roy Harper in there, who in the comics, of course, is Red Arrow, but on the show they said they're going to stay away from that name. They're actually going to call him Arsenal, I guess, which is a little weird. But I like what they're doing, and I'm sure that it's going to be good no matter what they do. So that should be cool. And then they're talking about the crossover with the Flash series, and this I'm super excited about. I guess apparently in the 8th episode of each series, characters from each show will appear in the other show. So it'll be like this huge crossover event, which is kind of a new thing for TV, and they're trying to kind of replicate the fun factor of comics, how you see heroes interacting and everything in each other's titles. So I'm really looking forward to that and seeing if it's successful or not and how well they do that.
Very cool. Yeah, I really, Greg and I are both behind with season 2 of Arrow, so Netflix, get on that so we can watch that. That'd be nice.
I'm behind in everything.
Yeah, I had a huge fake out because I went on demand for Comcast, and I'm like, oh, Arrow season 2, and it was all listed there. I'm like, super awesome. All these episodes are listed. I can start watching them. I click on the first one. It's like, pay $5.99. I'm like, damn it, I'm not gonna pay that much for an episode per. Like, I'll just wait. So
it's worth it.
By the way, I'm also already behind on The Strain.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't watch last Sunday's episode because anyways, but yeah, I'm an episode behind myself, but I'm taping it, so I tend to enjoy them more when I can watch them in like progression, back to back to back and stuff.
Yeah, I do too.
Any other Marvel or DC stuff news wise?
There was one thing that you brought up earlier that you wanted to talk about, a certain Marvel character that everybody's been waiting for.
Was that Thanos?
No, the Deadpool one.
Oh yeah, Jesus.
I was going to give him the hint of chimichanga.
I was thinking, yeah. I mean, I guess technically it wasn't Comic-Con footage, but it came out around the same time, and it's been hitting the web pretty hard. And that was the leaked concept video or what have you of Deadpool. Which is pretty crazy. It's like a CG, really well done CG, test footage.
It's like what's the name of the in video game? The
Ultimate Alliance.
No, the little the play-by-play in the middle of like they'll stop your gameplay.
The cinematics.
Yes, the cinematic. It was almost like a video game cinematic.
Which should be funny if that's what it ends up being, and people are like, "Oh, damn it!"
I had always hoped that they made a whole movie like that because I know like the CG in the Marvel Ultimate Alliance is freaking sick. The cinematics.
Yeah. So, did you guys like the little bit of footage that they did have?
I enjoyed it personally. I didn't think it was very humorful that much. I thought it was amusing for the most part. I liked the little. The only part that I really got a kick out of was when the SUV is tumbling through the air, and he has a picture showing the guy that he's going to cut his head off that he drew in like 2 seconds, and then he cuts the dude's head off as it's flipping around. It was very high action and awesome like that, and they did make him fast talking, crazy Merc with a mouth. I didn't find him as humorous as I have found him in the comic books, but I still thought it was a great rendition, and definitely a much better rendition than the crap that they gave us in Wolverine Origins.
Definitely. See, actually, if you notice he was actually drawing that in the beginning, the little thing he shows him, because he's like,
oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, and I liked a lot of little the clips. Like he says, "Hi Todd" for no apparent reason. It's just like saying something to some, which I just found funny because it's just such a a random thing, which is humorous. But
yeah, I will say, like, I don't know if you watched it once, Greg, or not. I watched it a couple times, and I picked up a couple of more things the second time I watched it.
Okay.
Just because there's like so much going on, but like when the one guy shoves his head into the seat and he's like, "Ooh, fine Corinthian leather."
Yeah, I did see that one. That one was funny too. And the owls when he was getting pushed into the.
Yeah, it's weird. Like they made it so well. Like his mask looked so real. Like you could see his mouth moving under the mask and everything, and they did a great job with it. But yeah, like the crayons in the beginning, and then like he had a little radio sitting on the thing, and he was like, kind of bipping around to the music, and there was a piece of tape on the radio. It had his name on it in crayon that said Wade.
Yeah.
It was like he's like a first grader and he has to write his name on his stuff so no one takes it.
And I honestly think they leaked it on purpose, because I don't think you leaked something that by accident. I think it's them saying like, let's leak this and get huge, because the production on that, I've seen test footage before. The Ant-Man test footage was good, but it wasn't that detailed.
Yeah.
And I think it was them like, hey, let's release this and show there's buzz, and then maybe prompt people, because it's taking the internet by storm, and maybe they'll like, hey, that'll cause the internet to get crazy, and then they'll be able to make it. So, and if they don't make it after this, I think it'll be a huge disappointment. So,
does Fox still hold the rights for Deadpool?
They do. So,
that's sad,
because they hold the rights to mutants. So as long as they're making X-Men movies. I guess there's that fine line because of Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver. So they do have those characters that are in both, but
yeah. Plus, Deadpool isn't really a mutant for the most part. He is pumped full of Wolverine DNA, or however that worked. So it's through medical experimentation with Wolverine pieces that made him Deadpool for the most part.
Yeah, but I'm assuming he's just counted because he was in the Wolverine movie within that. I doubt that their copyright or their licensing game down to that specifics. Yeah. It's like all mutants or people who were injected with Wolverine's DNA.
So. All the people working on it were like, what does that even mean? I did hear that Deadpool creator Rob Liefeld himself was very happy with it. He said that he was happy with his mouth and how he talked. He was happy with the suit was based on his original design for the character, so of course that made him happy. And then the fact that he had his katanas too. So
was there a billion pouches on it? I didn't notice.
The shoulders didn't look very big.
Did they draw extremely tiny feet on him?
His body was well proportioned, so it couldn't have been based off of Rob Liefeld.
I know, right?
I like the fact that he gets original creator of Deadpool is kind of like, because he was nothing like he is now when Rob Liefeld God bless you.
The character that everybody loves is much more than what he created, because his was a little bit more deadpan and not as fun as it is now, and quirky and crazy as when he first started.
Yeah.
I did like in the clip how he did in fact break the fourth wall.
Yeah.
Because he was like, "Oh, hello there. You're probably wondering why all the red on my suit, you know."
Yeah.
Then
Yeah.
I like the line about hopefully these guys are wearing their brown pants.
Or white pants in my case.
I did want to talk about one more thing regarding the Comic-Con. I mean, there's a lot that came out, like the Simpsons Family Guy preview, Walking Dead preview, which I didn't watch because I just heard it's 5 minutes long, so I don't want to ruin that. But I did see the Mad Max trailer, which is a movie I had very little expectations for. But that trailer was freaking phenomenal. I really do like the Road Warrior movie. So Tom Hardy as Mad Max is a pretty good casting choice. But that trailer is just crazily insane, and the visuals there are just really well made, and the staging of the action is really great. And like George Miller, the guy who directing it, he directed the other ones. Feels like he's finally coming back to do good stuff because he's just been doing Happy Feet movies recently. So it's good to see him actually do a good movie.
Seriously?
Yeah, he did Happy Feet 1, Happy Feet 2, and that's about it. So
okay.
Yeah, the guy who made Road Warrior made Happy Feet. So there you go. There's your news for the day. But
he had to get back to a good place in life.
Exactly. So anything else from Comic-Con or anything else we wanted to go over?
I did have one other, I guess, project that I wanted to mention, and that was for the Godzilla franchise, the one that just came out this year. They talked about Godzilla 2 and how they worked with, is it Toho Studios, I think?
Godzilla 2 Electric Boogaloo.
They got the rights to use 3 classic Godzilla villains in the next movie: Rodan, Mothra, and Ghidorah. So that's pretty sweet. And then the thing that really piqued my interest was they also have a project they're working on called Skull Island, which has to do with King Kong, of course.
Yeah, like a King Kong prequel or whatever.
So, I mean, the obvious question that everybody has is like, okay, down the line somewhere, are we going to see like a team up or a crossover, like Godzilla versus King Kong or something like that? So that's pretty intriguing to see with like today's technology.
Yeah, that would be interesting. It feels like that has to happen, and then like throw in Jurassic World, and then have like a 3-way showdown or something.
Yeah,
but yeah, very cool. And I'm sure there was a lot of news. I do feel like looking at the news footage and like the news, there's more TV stuff than movie stuff. Surprisingly, I mean Batman and Superman and Marvel stuff, but overall it's a lot of TV stuff, like the new Star Wars series, and which looks pretty interesting.
I've been hearing that the movie stuff is kind of going away from San Diego for the most part. They're not finding that they're getting much out of it, I guess.
Yeah.
But that's like just scuttlebutt.
Yeah, I mean, because you spend like literally hundreds of thousands of dollars to like market during Comic-Con, and they weren't seeing. I mean, a lot of movies that were huge at Comic-Con didn't end up doing anything, like Scott Pilgrim or Snakes on a Plane. So yeah, a lot of the movie studios didn't go. I did hear that it was the first time Christopher Nolan was at Comic-Con selling for Interstellar, which is I'm staying away from all the trailers from that until I've been trying to make a rule where I don't watch trailers. Of course, I broke it with Mad Max, but like I'm trying to. And I mean, if I go to the theater, if I see it there, okay, but I'm trying not to seek them out, just to get that experience when I finally see the movie. So
I will say regarding the movie panels, I did enjoy for the Marvel panel. I enjoyed seeing Josh Brolin sporting the giant foam Infinity Gauntlet.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
So I totally want one of those, but they're so damn expensive on eBay right now.
Oh yeah.
I'm not paying $90 for a foam hand.
Oh, you don't want the Hulk hand?
I should just paint one yellow and put like fake gems on it or something.
Yeah, we'll show them. All right, but before we go, end each episode with a letter. And Chuck, do you have a letter for this week?
Yes, I do. It's inspired by my beach vacation. It's a bit of a negative letter, but it's sort of a an educational letter or whatever you want to call it.
Life's a beach, Chuck.
It is. And my letter will help us to enjoy that even more. So here goes. Dear summer beachgoers, we now find ourselves in the peak of beach season, and many people are hitting up the shore for a good old-fashioned family vacation. There's no doubt the beach can be great fun. Napping in a comfy chair, feeling the ocean breeze, and taking a dip in the water every now and then to cool off and jump the waves. But there are a few things that can really toast your tush while you're on the beach, other than the sun. So it's necessary to lay down some basic etiquette so as to not spoil anyone's fun around you. The first rule people need to be diligent about following is not to shake off your towels and beach blankets in front of somebody.
Oh, God.
The wind blows it right in their face and eyes. I can't say how annoying this is when some guy in front of you ignorantly flails his towel about in the breeze as the grains of sand pelt you in the face and lodge themselves in your ocular cavity. Trying to expel sand from your eyes and mouth is not fun in any dimension. Please have the decency to wad up your things and shake them out once you get behind everyone and thus downwind of them. It's only fair. After all, you wouldn't want your face to be sandblasted like your Uncle Fred's 87 Buick. Secondly, you're going to want to respect that unwritten code of personal space. The key here is to not stake your beach claim unreasonably close to someone else's plot. If it's a crowded beach, I would suggest staying a good 8 to 10 feet away from your neighbors. If it's a more low-key beach, then maybe a little farther away. You don't want to crowd someone and plop your sunblock glimmering rear end right on top of them. We had a family set up next to us, and by the time they got their chairs up, I could literally reach out with my arm and touch their chair if I wanted to. Sorry, pal, too close. I'm all for everyone having a good time and sharing the beach, but respect that personal space. My final gripe is both a concern and an annoyance, and it's those folks who don't keep an eye on their kids. I've seen people not paying attention and completely unaware of the fact that their 4-year-old ran down to the water and is eager to enjoy the thrill of the waves.
Oh, jeez.
Drowning concerns aside, those bigger waves can knock the little fellows right down. And not to mention not watching their kids and letting them walk over other people's blankets and towels and kick sand on them, which happened to us. Most parents are on the ball, but some people may surprise you. I know it's tough to keep track of every single thing they do, and of course some things are obviously excusable. Heck, I enjoy seeing the kids having a blast, but sometimes you really worry about them. So that's about it. A few small gripes I've noticed my last couple trips to the beach. Let's hope more people can prevent these type of things, and we can all have a great time at the beach. Sincerely, Chafing Chuck.
Oh man, that's funny. Did you see there's a video online of someone was going to the beach and there was these old ladies like taking down this tent and like packing it away, and he's like talking to them and he's like, "Oh, is this your tent?" And they're like, "Yeah." He's like, "Really? Because it's mine." They're like, "Oh, it's yours." It's like they were just trying to like act like they had no idea.
Wow.
So, and they were like, 50. One lady was like a grandmother. There was kids there. I'm like, oh my god, that is so awful. So, jeez.
It's funny. Like most people are good, but there's some people you see there, especially like Wildwood's a really crowded beach, and it's just amazing some of the stuff some of the stuff you pee. Okay. Some of the stuff you see, people just have like zero respect, and they're just like shaking out their towels and the sand's just flying all over everybody, and you're like, dude, what the hell? Like, do you not understand physics? Did you miss science class?
Yeah.
But it's kind of annoying.
Yeah, it is. Oh, people. All right, but I think that'll bring us to the end of this week's episode. If you want to get in comment with us, there's tons of way to do so. You can send us an email at feedback@geekcastradio.com. We're on Facebook and Twitter. Search Geekcast Radio or Talking in Circles. I'm also on Twitter at Movie Revolt. And you can also comment on the episode post at geekcastradio.com or nerdly.co.uk. I think that's the right. I always mess up what goes first, CO or UK, but if I mess it up, you fix it. I believe in you. But
put your dyslexia to work.
Exactly. All right, but anyways, that's the end for this week. We'll be back next week, same time, same channel, same podcast feed. But for now,
this has been Chuck.
This has been Greg, or the Asian wine friend named John.
That might be the longest one yet. And this has been Dan, and we've been talking in circles. We will see you next week. Was he at least a fun friend? Or...
No, not at all.
He's
like he was trying to have conversations that we would have, but he made them completely uninteresting somehow.
What an inside joke.
So no talking about poop.
No discussions about poop. And you think everybody would have a discussion about poop.
Everybody's got a poop story.
Yeah. I mean, that's when you come back to school, beginning of each year. It's like how you spent your pooping vacation. And you all go through that.
My mom found, she's been looking through the digital books online, and she found one, what does the color of my poop mean?
I didn't know there were that many variations to make a book about it.
There's light brown, there's dark brown, there's black, there's orange, there's green, there's clay or tan. There's probably other ones, but I forget. I started reading them off to my parents, and they're like, okay, you could stop now. You can stop. But the sum up is, if it's not just like a medium brown color, essentially for everyone, they're like, call the doctor, call the doctor, call the doctor.
It always comes back to the shit. So. I just thought it was funny that we were on complete opposite ends of the... Oops.
Was that?
Something just collapsed in my room. Sorry.
You okay? Do you need a sec?
Nah, it's good.
We start hearing sirens and everything going on in the background. It's like,
it's just a flesh wound. I have a feeling that's going to be in the blooper reel.
Yeah, I think so. We haven't had a good one in a while, so there you go. Anyways, you were saying?
I'll start over.